Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Reinvent Yourself. Do you know the importance of this topic? Reinvent yourself. We know that we live in a busy world. We don't have time for many things and we forget everything about us. That's why this is one of the most relevant topics. Reinvent yourself. If you want to reinvent yourself, you have to follow certain things. The first thing, and before we start that, let me ask you a question. Whom do you love the most? If we ask you the question, you may have different answers like, I love my father, I love my mother, I love my children, I love my wife, I love my lot of things. But most importantly, you should have an answer, I love me the most. If you ask me the same question, I would reply that I love me the most. So that's what I'm going to talk to you. I love me. What is the importance of loving me so much? If you're not able to love yourself, you cannot love anyone else. That's why it's one of the most important topics. I love me. Dear friends, how many of you want success? I know that is a silly question. If I ask you the question, you will slap me because everyone wants success in life. Everyone wants success, everyone enjoys success. But you have a lot of questions on that. From where I will get the success key or the key of success. And today, through this presentation, I would like to get you the key of success. Let's get that key. Dear friends, do you know what is the most magical thing on this planet? If you ask me the same question, I would reply, it's nothing but love. Because it's divine, it's magical. And it has two parts. The first part is nothing but loving others. That's why we are here on this planet. That's the intention of God. And the second part is nothing but loving ourselves. And if you want to love yourself, you have to love others. That's why the Holy Bible says a card in Matthew chapter 22:9. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. If you want to love others, first you have to love yourself. Then only you can love others. That's why it's magical and it spreads from one person to another person. So start loving yourself. Usually the scholars say, or the religious prophets say, we have two turning points in our life. And if I ask you the question, if you ask you what are the turning points, you would reply, that's birth and death. But I would say it's not birth and death, but it's birth is the first turning point, and the second turning point is something very interesting. That's nothing but the time you find your destiny. Everyone has a destiny. Just imagine if a person lives here for 20 years or 30 years or 50 years, maybe for 10 years or 5 years. Everyone has a destiny in their life. And the most important part is the way, the time we find out our destiny. And if I ask you, do you know what is your destiny? Yeah, I know that you're thinking and you're sleeping on that topic, but I would say everyone has a destiny. Just imagine if a person lives in this world for 80 years, he lives here for just 29,200 days. Just calculate 80 into 365. If a person lives here for 30 years, he has just 10,950 days. If a person lives here for 40 years, he has maximum of 14,600 days. That means we already passed 20 years, 30 years or 15 years or more than that. And how many days left with us? And did you find your destiny yet? That's the most important question. And we are very proud of our life. We are very proud of our heritage. We are very proud of many things. But my question is very simple. Do you know your destiny? You didn't find it? If you didn't find the destiny yet, I will give you the tips. The first tip is a very simple one. Love yourself. If I ask you to love yourself, you may have a question like, why should I love myself? The reason is very simple, because sometimes you have feeling that you don't have this one, you don't have that thing, you don't have health, you don't have wealth, you don't have that much great physique, you don't have a hair on the head just like me. There are a lot of things, but you are some of you. And second thing, none can replace you. And third thing, you are unique. Just imagine how many people live here in this planet, and everyone has different smell. Everyone has different fingerprints. Everyone has different talents. Everyone is unique. So what do you have to do? Stop the comparison, and instead of compare yourself with another, start introspection. Because when you introspect yourself, you will understand where you stand and what are the problems you have. From that you can establish, you can flourish yourself. But if you compare yourself with another, and we know that every time we compare ourselves with others, sometimes the parents compare their children with another children, and they don't understand the capacity or the potential of each child. Each human being is different. So stop comparison, start introspection. And second thing, and get the feedbacks. Don't give criticisms. Get the feedbacks, don't give criticisms, because we can accept the feedbacks from others, take it in a positive way, and don't say criticisms, especially in their absence. You should have the courage to say it on face to face, and don't say criticisms in their absence. Instead of that, give feedbacks so that we can love ourselves. And obviously you have a question, what should I do? I will give you three things. The first one, self-respect. Second thing, positive self-image. And third thing, self-acceptance. So let me start with the first topic, self-respect. Because if you don't respect yourself, none will respect you. Everyone is busy with their work. If you don't respect yourself, you don't get respect from anyone. Just respect who you are, and most importantly, understand your positives and negatives. None can live this planet without negatives. None can live here with all the positives. So understand the positives and negatives. And secondly, market yourself wisely, because you should have an idea that where should I sell myself? Myself means your talents, your time, your energy, and your all potentials. And third thing, don't be available so much. When you become so available always, people will start using you. People will misuse you. So don't be available so much. And we know that the rare products and the expensive products never have big advertisements, and they have limited advertisement, but people know that these are the expensive things, and if you have the money only, you can go and buy that. So that's what the people should have the feeling about you. So don't be available so much. The second thing, positive self-image. And when you look at the picture, you can see that a cat considers himself or herself as a lion, because that's a positive self-image. And every time we complain, I don't have this one, I don't have that one, I don't have this quality, I cannot sing, I cannot dance. Every time we have a lot of complaints. So you just have a positive self-image. It's not just your body. It's not just associated with your body. You have to have a strong willpower. See, nothing is impossible. Everything is possible if you have a strong, positive self-image. Face the situations, face the old situations courageously, and acquire and sustain good qualities. And acquiring a quality is a natural thing, and it's an easy thing. But if you want to sustain in that, if you want to continue in that quality, you should have a strong willpower, and that quality should be acquired. And thirdly, be proud of yourself. You should be the proud owner of yourself, because sometimes we fall, sometimes we become isolated, sometimes we become alienated. In all situations, whatever the situations, you just be proud of yourself, because you are unique, as I said earlier, and you are someone very special, and you are the most talented human being on this planet. That should be your idea. That's why you should feel proud of yourself. And the third main point, self-acceptance. And we know what is self-acceptance. The first thing, accept yourself. Just imagine, if you don't accept yourself, Who will accept you? Everyone wants acceptance. Everyone needs acceptance. And sometimes we feel so bad when someone rejects you, when someone say you are not good for this post. But don't give up. You just accept yourself, because you know that you didn't do any mistake and you're learning something and you'll improve, so that you accept yourself. And second point is, nothing can be changed. Just imagine you don't have eyesight. Just imagine you don't have a leg, or you don't have a finger, or sometimes you're handicapped, sometimes you're blind, sometimes you're deaf. Is it possible to change that? No. So you have to accept the fact that things are permanent. And if you give up, your life is a waste. And if you can survive from that situation, that is the self-acceptance. You accept yourself that, yes, and like this, I have to fly from here. That should be the idea. And the third thing, accept you in all situations. Whether it's an up, whether it's a down, whether it is a happy moment, whether it is sorrow moment, you have to accept you in all situations. Sometimes your friends will not be there, your parents will not be there, your children will not be there. None will accept you. But you have to make sure you accept yourself. You have to motivate yourself from being down. You have to get up and you have to fly high. So that's what we mean self-acceptance. Dear friends, I would like to conclude my presentation by introducing some of the familiar characters before you. The first one, look at the screen, is none other than Charlie Chaplin, the one who made others laugh. But do you know the personal life of Charlie Chaplin? And he didn't have great physique, he didn't have great strength, he didn't have a good family background, but he never complained. He never complained, and he turned that misfortune as a fortune, and he became one of the best comedian the world has ever seen. So the first part, accept yourself. Let me introduce the second person. Look at the screen. Who is this? It's none other than Abraham Lincoln. And what is the story behind him? He failed in almost all the businesses he started. He failed in his personal life. Everyone rejected him, everyone neglected him, but he didn't give up. And look at the face of Abraham Lincoln. And he didn't have a great physique, he didn't have a nice smile, and he always worried about his physique, but he didn't give up. He started accepting himself, and later is the history. He became the president of the United States of America. Let me introduce the third person. Look at the screen. He is none other than Mr. Entrance, one of the humble persons and one of the wonderful cine artists Malayalam cinema has ever produced, or I would say Indian cinema has ever produced. Do you know the background of him? He started film career as a tailor boy, and later he became part of Malayalam film industry, and he started performing in small roles, and recently where he reached. Now the world started accepting his talent as an actor, how humble he is, and he also didn't have or doesn't have great physique, but still he accepted himself that yes, I'm like this. So what can I do from here? That should be the thought. So that's why all these people became successful in their life. And finally, let me introduce another character, one of the acid victims. And she also suffered a lot when a person attacked her with acid. And recently you have watched a movie, Malayalam movie called Uyare. And that movie also tells you that, see, failures, misfortune may come to you at any time. You cannot prevent that, but you can do something. You accept the fact and fly from there, because the world is wide. If you love yourself, if you can accept yourself, if you understand your talent, if you understand your positives, your negatives, you will be successful in life. Let me conclude my presentation by giving one more insight. In simple terms, what can I do for loving myself? First thing, love your body. Yes, body is everything. If you don't have health, you cannot do anything. God is blessed with good health, so that eat properly, exercise properly, rest properly, and very simple, repeat. Eat, exercise, and take rest as much as possible so that you feel healthy and you can do a lot of things. And next thing, love your mind. That's another important thing. You have to love your mind so that you have to be a learner always, and always follow your mind. Do as mind says and don't give a chance for regret. You just do as your mind says. And thirdly, love your soul. Do you know why? Because we always believe that human life is transient, especially human body is transient. At any time, it can perish. But remember, soul is permanent. Almost all the religious scriptures say that we have a life after the world, after the transient world. We will meet our Father in the holy abode. And so that you trust God and you meditate and you rejuvenate so that you can love your soul also. To support this presentation, let me suggest you some of the very important books which can transform you, that transform me personally. That's why I suggest these books to you. The first one, The Monk Whose Soul is Fiery by Robin Sharma. And I'm not telling you the story, you just go and read the book. I know that you might have read this book already. If you don't, you just read that book. And there are a lot of other inspirational books also. And that will rejuvenate, that will transform you completely. So stay blessed. Don't forget the point, love yourself.